4, 3, 2, deuces, 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 1. We alive. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Oh, hey. You better be on my don't be sending me no text messages. You better be on my page. You better be checking me out. Matter of fact, you should be over here on YouTube. 'Cause I know you got the YouTube. I know you got the YouTube. So what's happening, people? How y'all doing? How's everybody doing? Ah, mama say, mama say, mama musa. I'm gonna tell you one more time. I'm not gonna stop. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna say it on Facebook. I feel like I want to kidnap somebody. I'll bring him back. It might be a little damaged, a little used, but I'll bring him back. And I ain't gonna have to lock him up in no basement either. Hi, for real though. How's everybody doing? Got report cards today, huh? That's what's happening. Yeah, yep, 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 yep. What's happening? YouTube, I see you. I see you. Facebook, I see you. I see you. Man, I am hyped. I know y'all know why I'm hyped. You know, I tell you what, this is my 150. I know your crazy behind ain't trying to call me in the middle of my show. Somebody gonna get cussed out on air. This is my 151st show, just like Bacardi Rum. So we gonna get high on what's happening this week. Got a lot that I like, a lot to be hype about. Um, somebody said I got a plan, and it sounds like it's the truth, the TRUF, the truth. But I guess some of y'all could spell it with the double O, TROOF. Oh, see this woman here understands the assignment. She be giving me love. She the only one be giving me love. What's up with y'all people? Come on in, take your seat, throw off some peace signs, throw off some love, throw off some kisses, throw off some thumbs up. Come on, man. Ah. I'm trying to be there you go. There you go, baby. There you go. And you know I love you right back, right? Talking about love. It's just not enough of it, folks. Just not enough of it. So it's one past the half. I'm waiting for folks to get it together here. Um, it's been a good week, folks. I had to take a little break from watching all of the political propaganda and talking heads and prognosticators and so forth and so on. I'm holding up for a minute. But there's a lot to be hyped about. I feel like Kid and Play in like 89. Get off because you bit off more than you can chew. Now watch the dynamic duo do. Some of these folks running for office, they have no plan, they have no platform. And that's the biggest difference. You know what I'm saying? So they need to get off because they obviously bit off more than they could chew. But those people that are voting, it's so crazy because I still talk to people, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my son on blast because he said he's not. He said, "Dad, I'm fed up with it." I'm like, "But I do what I do so that my grandchildren, your son, your daughters, your nieces and nephews, and so forth and so on, could have the same opportunities to pick and choose what they want to be." Because as I've said before, um, and I'll say it again, back in 2016, I looked at um, the possibilities. And I just decided that it was the best time for me to start getting my stuff together for retirement. And that was mainly because um, the possibilities for president were Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And I just remember the time when the two families, the Trumps and the Clintons, were so buddy buddy. And Hillary Clinton, I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna say it. She's a far cry from Bill, as quiet as it's kept. Bill came off blacker than Barack, but that's a whole nother story. He could do it and get away with it. Barack certainly couldn't. Um, and by that I just mean that he took some chances that Barack never would have taken. One thing that I held against Bill is Lonnie Guinier was someone he picked for a position, and I'm not going to even talk about it, but um, at the first sign of a little political mudslinging, he ran away from her. He, withdrew her name. I got the sneeze coming on, so it's 5 past the half. I'm gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna say good evening and welcome to the show. As always, as always, as always, as always, I always like to start off by saying thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Of all of the things you could be doing on Thursday night, you choose to be here with me, listening to my interpretation of the madness of the propaganda, trying to decipher, trying to analyze, trying to break it down till it's unfixably broke. And for that, I'm truly humble. I always say it and I always mean it. I'm truly humble. There's a lot of bravado with me. There's a lot of machismo with me. But when I do this, I'm very serious about what I'm doing. And B, I try to humble myself to the things that are going on and put um, personality and ego on the back burner. So for that, I must say thank you guys for tuning in. My show is called OMITDALOGIC. My name is Hank Batiste. My name is Hank Batiste. My show is called OMITDALOGIC. Let me say it one more time. Because some folks are politically dyslexic. And I want to make sure that you get that. This show is called OMITDALOGIC because I always talk about all of the madness that's going out there. I say this shit makes no sense. Um, Folks, we've come a long way. It's been almost 2 years since the presidential election. Now we are 19 days away from the midterms. In some places, early voting has already started, and some people have been posting that they've voted. I'm gonna say two things. Make sure you vote, number one. Number two, don't just think about those people running for governor and those people running for senate. There's some things that's going on both locally and on the statewide level, be it voting rights or redistricting, what be it abortion and things like abortion are high ticket items. So there's a lot of press time given to it, but pay attention to some of the amendments that's going on in your local communities, in your state communities, because these are the same people. We give them enough ammunition, we give them enough face time now that they get recognition, and before you know it, they're running for federal offices, in state offices. They want to be governor, they want to be congressman, and some of them even want to be president. So pay attention to what's going on. Some of your local debates are on C-SPAN. If not on C-SPAN, I'm sure you can find some of them on YouTube. So it gives you a chance to hear what these folks have to say. To be honest with you, I'm excited. I'm excited And as bad as it's kept, I'm a little pissed off as well. This week, of all of the debates that I watched five debates this week, some snippets and other entire debates. The two most dynamic debates was Val Demings here in the state of Florida, and she's running for the U.S. Senate. And I've said this before. Some of you know who Val Demings was. You caught a glimpse of her and her dynamic personality um, because she was on the committee in both of the trials for impeachment of Despicable Donnie. And she distinguished herself then. But in this week's debate, she made me so proud. You know, a little bit about Val. Before I get into Val, let me just say this. I've been talking about where we are now, 19 days away. But basically, 2 weeks in the wake up, which means early voting has started. Usually it's somewhere between 21 days and 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and 2 weeks out. Get out. Now's the time for you to find out where you're going to be voting. Now's the time to find out what changes have been made by the opposition that does not want you to vote. And now's the time to see, if you're not thinking about voting, how energized and how engaged the opposition is in getting their people to the polls, and maybe you'll reconsider and get out. Um, Understand, we still have this what I call Jim Crow fear of getting involved and being singled out and so forth and so on. And I'm reminded of some things as well. But when I see certain things, I'm also reminded of this. We're going to get it whether we participate or not. Those people that was abducted and put on the boat, they were not just rebel rousers in Africa. They were, a lot of them were just going about their day doing what they could do, what they normally do as kings and queens, literally, of different tribes. And they were abducted, they were thrown on the boat, um, and they were forced into slavery. So after watching, and I'm all over the place today because I'm so hyped. I'm so hyped, and my head is spinning. My head is spinning, folks. We're so close to the finish line. All of this talking till we're blue in the face. Hence, I decided to wear the blue shirt. All of the talking, all of the trying to digest and regurgitate and digest for a second and third time, all of the propaganda, all of the false messages, all of the fake news, and so forth and so on. We're almost to the finish line. And with that, it doesn't mean that we're over, because this is a journey, folks. It's not a destination. But this journey that will culminate in 19 days is going to shape how we all live for the next 6 years. Like it or not, it is what it is. So, with that being said, tonight's show is called I Got a Plan. Now, my mom used to say, if you want to know God's sense of humor, say, I have a plan, because he has a plan for you. And a lot of times our plan is not congruent with his. But I got a plan. As I get into it, you'll understand. If you're from the state of Georgia, you kind of already know what's up. But anyway, tonight's show is called I Got a Plan. My name is Hank Batiste. This is Omit the Logic. I'm hyped in the mug. Let's do this, people. First up. Um, there was a time when debate gave the voting public most people approached an upcoming election with an open mind. It wasn't a foregone conclusion that this one is a Democrat, this one is a Republican, or this one is I've heard of, and this one I don't know anything about. Debates gave us an opportunity to see how people A dealt with pressure. B, it gave us an inside, somewhat of an inside look, as in the character of the person. And C, most importantly, we got an opportunity to see what they stood for and whether they had any inkling of doing something for someone other than themselves and those people that they owed favors to. So, with that being said, I watched several debates from what's called the battleground states. And if you don't remember what the battleground states is or battleground states are, I'll remind you, it's all of those states that Trump lost and he decided he would call and see if he couldn't get the elector of voting in that state to change things in his favor. It's the Pennsylvanias, it's the Ohio's, it's the Arizonas, it's the Georgias, it's the Floridas, it's the Michigans. Folks, these are called battleground states because these states are usually somewhat up for grabs. And these debates are usually the thing that decide what a lot of people or a lot of people are going to vote for. So when an, a political somebody running for office, and I don't want to call them a politician because I don't want to put everybody in that same boat, but someone who had aspirations of being an elected official or an incumbent who wanted to prove to his constituents that he had been doing his or her job for the last 2 years, 4 years, or 6 years, whatever the case may be. They were trying to show the people A, what I did in the past, and B, what I plan to do in the future. This is my plan. And of all of those debates that I watched, the two most dynamic debates was Val Demings and Stacey Abrams. It filled me with pride and it made me sad and pissed me off, all in the same vein. It filled me with pride because these two women who just happen to be black, these two women were prepared. They were prepared for the debate. They didn't just come up there with political talking points. On the contrary, their opponents were like parrots. They talked about the same Republican talking points that we hear time and time again. They voted with Nancy Pelosi. They voted with Joe Biden, what they did and how they handled COVID. And it was the Republicans who didn't give a shit about whether people lived or died. So we opened the schools and we opened the businesses. So we were your friend during COVID. But they didn't mention that they were complicit in over 1 million people dying from a disease, a virus. And the thing that makes viruses so deadly is they mutate, they change. So it's not completely gone, folks. And we don't hear about the people that are dying now. We probably hear something whispering about some herd immunity or something like that. But no, it was the Republicans. It was the Kemps. It was the DeSantis. It was all of the Donnie disciples that went against the scientists. Not only with COVID, these two women were prepared. So Val Demings is running for U.S. Senate. Her opponent is Marco Rubio. One of the things she talked to about is she was the first female, not the first Black female, the first female who held the office of chief of police in Orlando, people. We're not talking some podunk town in whatchamacallit, Alabama. We're talking about Orlando. And she talked about her record. And she talked about the fact that her mom was a maid and her dad was a janitor, something to this effect. So she came from very humble beginning. And suddenly, Marco Rubio said, well, my mama was this too. But all he had to say was the same thing. They voted with Pelosi. They voted with Biden. They're responsible for gas prices. They're responsible for the economy. No. The economy is where it is because we receive a temporary tax break, where the richest 1% received a permanent tax break. It was the Democrats who fought tooth and nail and their own to hold some of these corporations accountable to pay their fair share of taxes. And to me, what they're paying is still pennies on a dollar, and in some cases, pennies on a $10 bill, because it's not fair or equitable to what we're having to pay. One of the high points of the Demings and Marco Rubio debate was she went off because all he kept saying was, you voted with Nancy Pelosi and you're radical and you support abortion up to the moment of the delivery. Who supports? So if you're going to deliver, if you're 2 weeks out from your delivery date, who's going to give you an abortion? Even if it's a medical abortion, at that point, the life of the mother is in jeopardy. So chances are, even if they find out that the baby is not a viable pregnancy, they prep the mother and let the baby be born stillborn so that the mother could live. So all of this lies, and she said time and time again, all he could do is stand on those same lies that he's been telling the whole time. But he knows it's not true. I did this and I did that. So I understand, in order for Marco Rubio to get that dark money from Rick Scott and some of the Trump publicans and Trump disciples, he has to keep spinning this narrative. He has to keep these talking points up. He has to keep talking about an election that they knew that Trump lost. Even Trump said he know he lost it, but he didn't want anybody around him to say that he lost it, because then he wouldn't have a leg to stand on with all of that tomfoolery that he promoted. So she said, how many times can you stand by and watch people be killed? Because she talked about the Second Amendment. How many times can you stand by and watch people be killed in the grocery store and in the nightclub and in church and in school and do nothing? And if you didn't see it, check it out. I took a little snippet of it and I posted it on my page. A little 15-second snippet that pretty much told the story of how the debate went. I was proud as hell. What let me down is I'm ashamed to say it's been a long time since I've seen a black man be that dynamic, be that dedicated, be that prepared, and not just rebel rousing. I'm not talking about the Cory Bookers who stand up and say, here's a chance for me to grab the mic, 1-2 or 1-2. Here's a chance for me to get my face on a soundbite. Here's a chance for me to promote myself. So I show like I'm so incensed by what's going on. And ultimately, I'm recognized. So it told a story that Val Deming stood for something. And I think if we were back in a time where voters actually picked the better of the candidates based on what they stood for, based on what they've done, she would be the clear-cut winner. But we live in a time where anything goes. So again, get your butt out there, because us that's trying to do right, we need every vote to count. That's all I got to say about that. Moving on. Then I had to go to Stacey Abrams. Now, Stacey Abrams is an author, and she wrote romance model books and novels and this sort of thing. But this woman, I said chick, and I no disrespect, this woman is definitely superior. Kemp is still spinning the same old lies and the same old thing. And the high point, if you don't take nothing else from all of the political debates this year, Stacey Abrams said to Brian Kemp, when Brian Kemp just kept on with, you said that you never denied that the you actually won. Well, I think she won too. But the difference is, even if she said it one time or 25 times, the one thing she didn't do is she didn't instigate or incite a coup de grace to take over the governor's mansion in the state of Georgia. So, like Val, Stacey kept getting in his behind. And then finally she says, when we talk about what's going on, when we talk about the crime that you guys talk about, when we talk about all of the problems that you want to hang on a Democrat, she says, you don't have a plan. When asked what you would do, you would say, I don't know. I'd have to think about it. You've had 4 years. He says, but Stacey said, but unlike you, I have a comprehensive plan to build a better and stronger Georgia because I do my homework. Then she hit him with this gut point. I don't know whether it was a gut punch followed by a gorilla chop to the throat, but she said, I have a plan. Brian Kemp can cheat off my paper. And I was like, oh, no, she didn't. So if you don't know what the hell you're doing, look on my paper, because it's more important that the people of the state of Georgia get what they need than it is for me to be recognized. And I stood up and I was like, wow. If I were Brian Kemp, I know it took every ounce of osteophytes and bones in his spine to just stand there and take it. because he was out cold standing up. He had no comeback. But sadly, there are those people who, just like those that are going to vote for Herschel Walker, they don't care about the elected official. Their elected official doesn't have to stand for anything. All they have to do is to promise that they're going to support despicable Donnie and his delusional vision of grandeur in his own little tiny head and stirring up all of this hate. Folks, I'm hyped. I am so hyped. When I look at some of these people, and it's not just the Val Demings and the Stacey Abrams, when I looked at what's happening in Pennsylvania, when I looked at what's happening in Ohio, and I looked at some of the things that are going on, and I caught bits and pieces of this, and I looked at the snippets and the high points, and then I posted a little 3-minute video on my page today that talks about some of these battleground states and some of the things that's going on. I'm encouraged. I'm excited. I'm hyped. And you should be too. We got 19 days to go. The only thing that's more important to me than midterms, come hell or water, whatever, hell or high water, whatever happens on November the 8th, on November the 10th, your man is going to be 63. And sadly, I still haven't made up my mind what I'm going to be doing on my birthday. I don't know if I'm going to jump in the car. I don't know if I'm going to get online after I get off this podcast tonight and come up with something. I don't know if I'm going to be knocking on your door, or if I'm going to be in your neighborhood. But everybody needs to put like $5 on the side because I'm going to raise some teetotal hell and I might need the bill money. So I wanted to leave you on a high note. I was going to talk about some of this buffoonery with Herschel, but I need not talk about it because it's not news. It's the same thing warmed all over again. Before I go, I want to tell you one more time. Find out early voting, find out where it is, find out when it starts, find out what you need to vote. And the early voting is a good test simply because if you wait till election day and they've changed the rules and you show up at the polls, you don't get a second chance. If you go for early voting and they've changed the rules or they've changed the polling place or they've done this, that, or the other, you get a mulligan. You get a do-over. So let's try to get out for early voting. Number 2, educate yourself on the things that are going on in your community. Not just who's running for governor or who's running for Senate or who's running for the House of Representatives. Because some of those little things that they put on the ballot that don't make sense, and it sounds like you're voting for something, but the way it's worded, you're actually voting against. Are you voting for redistricting so that you water down your black vote in your neighborhood, so that you water down the Hispanic vote, so that you water down the minority vote? Because in a lot of places, all of this nonsense that's going on is going on because in a lot of places, we are not the minority anymore. So with that, I'm going to wish you a good night. Remind you one more again, 19 days, people. 19 days to November the 8th in midterm. And after you finish voting, go ahead and get my little gift together. Because 2 days after voting, It's my birthday. That's all I got for you tonight, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for putting up with my lunacy because I'm so hyped. I'm telling you, I can't think straight tonight. Val and Stacy made me so proud, like we went to high school together. And I don't know either of them. I've never met either of them. But I feel like I know them because how they present themselves. So yeah, I'm hyped. And to all of my brothers out there, when we gonna stand up? When we gonna have someone that we can talk about? Some people say, well, why don't you behind mine? Because I just don't have the patience. I really don't. I could make things happen, but I don't want to see my face on a poster. That's the closest I've come. Thank you for tuning in. As always, imparting. I'll see you next week right here. San Baptiste time, San Baptiste place. Go to my YouTube. Go to my YouTube. Go to my YouTube. Subscribe. If you want to know my YouTube address, that's it right there. OMITDALOGIC. 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 Subscribe. Share the show with someone. And make sure when you go to the polls, you bring somebody with you. It's always important. I wish you love. I wish you deuces, two pieces, and one thing, and two fingers up. And most of all, hair grease like you're mad. Yeah, my little gray spots coming. It's starting to spread across my head. So, with that being said, good night, folks. Thank you for tuning in.